The judge adjusted his glasses, looked straight at my parents, and said, "This will leaves $500,000 to the child you forced out of the house." My mother laughed. Not because she thought it was funny, but because she thought it was impossible. Then the judge repeated my name. The laughter stopped. That was the moment everything they had taken from me quietly, slowly and deliberately came back. On record, in ink, with witnesses. I'm the middle child, not the favorite, not the disappointment. Just the one who learned early how to stay invisible. I was the kid who didn't ask for much, didn't cause trouble, didn't need reminders. I learned how to survive by being useful. When I moved back into my parents' house at 29, it wasn't failure, it was necessity. A sudden job cut wiped out my savings in months. Rent where I lived had doubled since the pandemic. My parents said, "Come home. Family helps family." I believed them. The agreement was simple. I'd stay for a few months, get back on my feet, and move out quietly. I paid the electricity bill. I paid for groceries. I transferred $800 every month to my parents' account. They never called it rent. They called it help. What I wanted was stability. What they wanted I didn't understand yet. Money in my family was never discussed clearly. It came wrapped in guilt and obligation. After all we've done for you. We sacrificed so much. Numbers were never written down. Everything was emotional. That's how control stayed invisible. Then one evening, at dinner, the numbers appeared. My dad slid a printed spreadsheet across the table like he was serving dessert. He said, "This is your share." I picked it up and stared. It listed expenses going back 10 years. School supplies from high school. A phone bill I'd paid myself. Even groceries from when I was a teenager. At the bottom, in bold, was a total $18,400. My mom didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She said, "You need to start paying this back. Family loyalty has a cost." I laughed, because my brain couldn't process that this was serious. Then I looked at their faces. They were calm, certain, prepared. I asked, "Why are we doing this now?" My dad didn't hesitate. He said, "Because now you owe us." That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation. I kept telling myself it was stress, that they were worried, that this would pass. It didn't. 3 weeks later, my mom stopped me in the hallway. She was holding her phone like evidence. She said, "We recalculated, with interest. Now the total was $32,000. She gave me a deadline. 90 days. Pay it or start looking for somewhere else to live. I reminded her I was already paying every month. I pulled up my bank app and showed her transfers. She didn't even look. She waved them away and said, "That's not repayment. That's gratitude." That word, gratitude, started following me everywhere. In texts, in passive comments, in family group chats. "Be grateful we're letting you stay. Other parents wouldn't tolerate this. Why can't you just be grateful?" I started to realize something. This wasn't about money. This was about reminding me that nothing I did would ever be enough. The third time was public. We were at a family gathering. Cousins, uncles, aunts. Normal noise, normal laughter. Then my dad raised his voice and said, "He's almost 30 and still living off us." The room went silent. My mom smiled and added, "We gave him a choice." I stood there, heat crawling up my neck, realizing this wasn't an accident. It was a performance. They wanted witnesses. That night I checked my email and saw a message from my dad. Subject line, "Final notice." The amount was now $50,000. Deadline 30 days. Attached was a document titled, "Family Agreement." It wasn't signed. It wasn't notarized. But it threatened eviction if I didn't comply. I stared at the screen and thought, they're not bluffing. The breaking point came sooner than I expected. I came home from a walk and found my room half packed. Boxes stacked neatly by the door, my desk drawers empty, my documents missing, my birth certificate, tax files, old paperwork. Even a folder labeled, "Grandpa." My mom was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. When I asked what was happening, she said, "We're helping you transition." My dad stood up and said, "Pay up or leave this family. Your choice." Something inside me shut off. I realized this wasn't a negotiation, it was an eviction disguised as love. So I chose. I packed what I could fit into a backpack, my laptop, a change of clothes. I didn't argue, I didn't beg, I didn't say goodbye. 2 days later, my aunt called. Her voice was confused, concerned. She said, "Why did you give up your inheritance?" Until that moment, I didn't even know there was one. My grandfather had died 3 years earlier. He was quiet, disciplined, and the only person in my family who ever defended me. When he passed, my parents told me everything went to family expenses. I didn't question it. I trusted them. My aunt told me my name had been mentioned in the will. She told me to talk to a lawyer. The lawyer didn't promise anything. He said we'd check records. He requested documents. He waited. A week later, he called me back and said, "There is a will. And it's not what your parents told you." That was the first crack. Then came the truth. The will had been filed, but never executed. My parents never submitted it to probate. The amount was $500,000, placed in trust for me until I turned 30. I had just turned 30. Then the lawyer found emails. Messages between my parents discussing how to pressure me into leaving before my birthday. One line stood out like a confession. If he moves out voluntarily, he can't claim residency or contest timing. They weren't asking me to pay. They were running out the clock. We filed. The court summoned them. They arrived confident. Smiling. Acting offended that this was even happening. Until the judge asked one question. Why wasn't this will disclosed? My parents froze. They denied everything. My dad said I misunderstood. My mom said they were protecting family assets. Then the lawyer presented the emails. The unsigned agreement. The bank records. The will. The room went quiet. The judge didn't raise his voice. He ruled the will valid. Ordered immediate transfer. Warned them about withholding estate documents. My mother cried. My father stared at the floor. I didn't feel joy. I felt relief. I rented a small apartment. Paid off my debts. Put the rest where they can never touch it. They still text sometimes. Short messages. No demands. Just distance. I learned something permanent. Family that only loves you when you pay isn't family. It's a contract. And contracts can be broken. I chose to leave, and that choice finally made me free.